Hey folks, it's King from Stay Tuned Sports, and I gotta tell you, I love energy drinks. They help give me that boost that I need to finish all my work, get through game film recaps from all of Sunday's games, and they provide that pick-me-up during a very long week. What I don't love is that crash and the jitters, the gross feeling you get with most other energy drinks. And that's why I tried Dubby, and I gotta tell you, Dubby is a game changer with flavors like Dragonade, Beach and Peach, Galaxy Grenade, and my personal favorite, the Dub Sludge. You can find your favorite or just get them all. There's no jitters, there's no crash because there's no sugar in Dubby. Plus, Dubby contains Neurofactor, an all-natural ingredient derived from coffee cherries, which has been linked to enhance brain function. You go on over to dubby.gg right now. That's dubby.gg to grab the best energy drink you've ever had. And if you enter the code STSports18 in all caps, you'll get 10% off your order. That's STSports18 to get 10% off of Dubby. Be better.
And hello there, all you stay tuners. It might be Eagles. I hate the Eagles. Don't get me wrong here. First quarter, keep it even. Second quarter, start running the fucking ball. Third quarter, take a power nap. Fourth quarter, oh shit, there's the rest of the game. Let's go.
Fuck it, I'm a diabetic. I will root for the team that will literally give me diabetes and death. Rooting for a team from Hershey is like a Catholic rooting for Satan. It doesn't make any sense.
This is Stay Tuned Sports, and it starts in 3, 2, 1.
And hello there, all you Stay Tuners. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Tuned Sports. It's your good friend Jimbo here with our good buddy King. How you doing, bud?
Hey, how we doing, man? Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all the listeners, by the way.
Yeah. Happy New Year to you as well.
Thank you very much. And I don't know. Considering how the first 3 or so days of 2023 have gone, I'm getting major 2020 vibes right now, which is not good.
I saw that, but I'm gonna be the positive one here. And those first 3 days, yeah, like you said, it was not looking good. But the past day or so, it seems like we're getting some positive updates. I'll call it.
We'll see.
So
we'll see. That's what I'll say. Because because you have obviously the big thing that's going to dominate this show and has dominated everything for the last couple of days here is Damar Hamlin, of course, from the Buffalo Bills. You also have the Jeremy Renner situation, which is crazy, getting run over by a plow and trying to help out a family member.
And they're keeping it open as a criminal investigation.
Who's trying to kill Hawkeye here? What's going on here?
We already took Thanos.
I was going to say Thanos is already snapped. He's ashed. He's dusted. So
maybe Kang
could be Kang.
Yeah, you know.
Could be Kingpin. From the TV show. Could be Kingpin. I
can't wait till Daredevil comes out. I love Vincent. I can never pronounce his last name, but he's so good. He's so good.
It's not that hard. D'Onofrio, man, he's been around forever. I know he's a fantastic actor. Has been all the way since Full Metal Jacket, obviously.
Yeah.
So excited to see how. I'm not excited. I'm curious to see how Disney handles that, because they already said Charlie Cox already came out and said that it's not going to be nearly as dark or as violent as the Netflix series was because Disney.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. So I'm wondering if that's something that if they tone it down, will it still be as good?
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. We'll see how they handle it. Because I'll tell you what, Werewolf by Night was pretty good as a one-off special that they did. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. Kind of old school, kitschy, Hollywood horror stuff mixed with the Marvel universe. Fun stuff. So, but I like that kind of stuff. Like I like the Midnight Suns and Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night and stuff like that. So we'll see. But obviously, all the best to Jeremy Renner for recovery. He gave a little bit of an update too. There were reports going out that he was missing an arm, missing a leg. Apparently, his legs are pretty messed up. Okay. We don't know. All we saw was his face a little bit, which he looks like he got. He's messed up a bit, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't look great when you get run over by a plow. You don't. You just so best to him. And then of course, man, what happened on Monday night was that one was
that was tough.
That was the first one, a new one for me. One that I definitely. Well, no, I mean nobody was expecting that. No, I mean, no. How can you expect that? Like you expect injuries, you expect guy's down, he broke a leg. I mean, we've seen people break legs. I mean, we saw Dak Prescott's foot facing the other way.
Yeah, Alex Smith.
To the point where Troy Aikman thought his shoe came off or something like that. Remember like that? He's like, it looks like he's missing his shoe. No, that's his whole fucking foot, Troy. So we see gruesome things and we see things like that on the football field, and those are hard to watch. Those are terrible things. But what happened on Monday was on a different level.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with my father for a large part of the night. As we're just trying to find out what's going on, get any kind of information about what had happened. Because I had actually just turned the game on.
Okay.
I was a little late getting to the game. I had watched the end of the Rose Bowl. I was getting some other stuff together. I think I had grabbed dinner or something. So it was, I was a little bit behind. So when I turned the game on, and I think it was already 7-0 at that point, and then Buffalo scored the field goal, and then Cincinnati had the ball again. They were driving the ball down the field. And then Joe Burrow completes a pass to T. Higgins, gets tackled. Everybody stands up. At the end of the play, everybody stands up, and Damar Hamlin stands up, takes a step, stops, and then falls straight backwards.
Just dead weight too, like not try to brace yourself either.
Like no, that's what I mean. It's like it was like that, and so now you start thinking like. Because you're running through your head, and the moment you see something like that, you start thinking like concussion, head injury, knocked out, something like that. But it's like, no, he stood up, like he was conscious, he was there, so he stood up and made a step, and then fell directly backwards. So it's like, okay, it's not that, like it's not a neck injury or spinal injury because he wouldn't have fucking got up or moved at all. And so now you're sitting there thinking, like, what the fuck is going on? What this could be? And then you see the ambulance come out on the field. Then you see the players surround them. And you have no idea what's going on. And they keep on cutting the break and coming back and cutting the break and coming back. And it's only after, I think it was the second or third commercial break that they came back from, was when Joe Buck mentioned that what they saw and what they were going to report that they could see was that they were furiously performing CPR for the last, I think he said, the way he put it was that they were furiously performing CPR over the last 2 commercial breaks that people saw, but I guess they didn't want to say anything yet as to, kind of confirm what they were seeing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's when you start getting like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing like Josh Allen crying, white as a ghost, hands over his face. You see Stephon Diggs bawling his eyes out. You see how Joe Burrow looks. You see how the Bengals are looking around there. Like you just see, because obviously they're there. They see they were surrounding him to kind of protect him from prying eyes for what was happening.
Yeah.
So they knew that they were defibrillating him. They had the AED units out there to shock his heart, and they were performing CPR on him for over 9 minutes from what we understand. And you see that, and
like the other thing too is, I mean, that whole stadium was dead silent. Like,
no,
and there was no sound, and for Eagles fans getting bashed for being so bad, and this fan base and that fan base, that was the first time in a very long time that you actually saw fan bases come together. You see, I read one story.
That was
a kid Bengals fan kept running for tissues for this one Bills fan to make sure she had enough
Yes.
tissues. You know,
I read that. I read that online. Yes,
it's just amazing that.
and you see it in a lot of stories. You see the people that were coming together and praying together, Bills and Bengals fans in the middle of the stands. You saw, and I think the thing was because that crowd was loud. It was getting ready. I mean, this is a big fucking game. You know what I mean? This game was, you know, and that's the other part of it. You know, and speaking with my dad about it, it's like when you think about, man, we were all looking forward to this game. It's a big game. It's a big important. This game is so fucking important. This game is going to determine who's here, there, and everywhere. Who's got the division? Will the Bengals win the division? Will the Bills get the number one? Will the seeding and what are the how does this affect the Chiefs and how does it affect the Ravens and da 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 da? You go through all that, and in that moment, all that stopped.
Yeah.
In that moment, none of that became what was important. And I think that's to your point about the crowd is like you had a crowd there that was ready to go, revved up, loud as shit. They were fucking loud. They're ready to go, have a great night watching two of the best in the NFL go at it. And I honestly think, you have the injury happens, and that's when you have the murmur.
Yeah.
But I think what happened is probably from the upper deck, because people on the upper deck, I think, could see what was happening.
Okay.
And I think what happened was, as with anything, word started to spread down.
Yeah.
And so people started to understand in the crowd what was going on. And that's when it went from that kind of hushed murmur that you get usually when there's an injury or something on the field to there was dead silence.
Yeah, like you could hear a pin drop.
It was absolutely just not to use I don't want to say like anything inappropriate, like deathly quiet or ghostly quiet, but that's what it was.
It was
I don't want to.
eerie.
It was just it was incredibly silent in that entire place, and it was hard to. It was, again, everybody, I guess. Processes things differently, or as I've gotten older, maybe I've got a lot of people say I've gotten softer as I've gotten older, whatever like that. But man, it really affected me, and it brought me back to something that some people have this and that, and again, this is the problem I don't like either, is like people who try to take things and then make it about them or do something like that. But there's an experience I had that was something like this. So this isn't about me, again, because nothing like this happened to me personally. But when I played high school football, we had a kid on our team, Brian Blankenship. Played with him, great kid, good kid. Was actually really nice to me, which was rare back in high school for me. Nobody was ever really nice, but he was good, and he was a good kid. And we were playing. I forget who we were playing. It was a scrimmage. It was early on. Like it wasn't even a game. It was just it was almost like a preseason scrimmage we were doing with another school.
Okay. I
think it was something from down South Jersey. But we're playing in Bayonne, and he took a hit. Came off the field, said, I feel dizzy or something like that. Like this was obviously back in like 96, 97, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So the idea of concussion protocol or anything like that, even high school level, was non-existent.
Yeah.
So, but he came off the field, was like, don't feel good. So they took him off. They said, take a knee, collect yourself. If you feel better, let me know. We'll get you back in there. So he comes off the field, takes a knee. He's just there. Next thing you know, he throws up and then passes out. And everybody's like, "Oh, what's going on?" So all of a sudden now all the trainers, everybody's there is down on him, checking him out. Next thing you know, they take us off the sidelines and move us all the way to the end of the end zone.
Wow.
And now we're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
What happened? Now we're all fucking freaking out. The next thing we know, again, they're not telling us anything. They moved us all the way away from him. Next thing we know, there's a medevac comes and lands on the field.
Holy shit.
Helicopter comes, takes go from Newark University Medical Center. Our coach at the time comes over. He tries to put on a face. He's like, he's all right. He's conscious. He saw the doctors on him. He's like, get all this shit off me. Blah, blah, blah. He was lying his ass off. What happened was he died on the field.
Wow.
They revived. Here's the thing. They revived him. He was okay afterwards. He spent about 2 weeks in the hospital.
Okay.
But he died on the field. He had he ruptured a vessel in his brain, a blood vessel in his brain on the head, and that's what happened. He hit his head, head-to-head collision. Thought it was just got his bell rung, so came off the field, and was just got arrested. And he felt better to go back in. What was happening was that his brain was filling up with blood, and then he threw up, and passed out, and died.
Wow.
So when that happened and I heard and I saw like all the ambulance on the field and then you find out they were doing CPR on him and they were doing all this stuff, I immediately got transported right back to, being 16 years old on that football field.
Yeah.
And what happened to Brian Blankenship. And yeah, I think there's people out there that do have that and have those experiences and have those stories. Like that, and I think a lot of people saw that and were brought back to that.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people just in general had their humanity of just like what happened, and watching that and being a witness to that. Like you never expect that you're going to see somebody die on a football field, and to not sugarcoat this. Damar Hamlin died on a football field.
Yeah.
And it was only due to the quick response and fantastic response by all the medical personnel on that field from both teams, from the city of Cincinnati, from the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, everybody there. That right now, as we're recording this, it's 4:17 p.m. Eastern time here on Wednesday. What are we on the 4th already? January 4th. January 4th. That Mr. Hamlin is, from what we understand, that the latest news we have on him is that he is, he's alive. So that's the first thing that's good to know.
Yeah.
He is, from what I understand now, on a 50% oxygen mixture, whereas before when he first got to the hospital, apparently he was on 100%. Clearly,
yeah. And that came right from his uncle. Making that came
from his uncle, again, not from any press release from the medical center. And again, we're not going to speculate. We're not going to sit here and say anything like that. We're going to tell you what we know, and we're going to tell you what we know from a source that is either the medical professionals or what his family has come out and said in either a release or in any interviews like that. What we're not going to do is sit here and try to pretend or play doctor or sit here and say, well, this is what caused it, or this is what might have happened, or this is this, or this is that. Like, that's not what we're going to do here.
Yeah.
That is all stuff that we will find out later. And that stuff, frankly, isn't important right now. What's important is make sure that young man is alive and can wake up and can function. That's the other thing that we always worry about too, is that he was on that field for a long time.
Yeah, and he was unresponsive for, what they say, 9 minutes. They had to give him CPR.
Yeah, and from also what his uncle said, if we're going to go with that route, he said that he was revived twice. He had to be revived on the field. He had to have CPR on the field. And then once he got to the hospital, they also had to revive him again, which is something we didn't know.
Yeah, no, we just found out, what was that, today, I think?
Last night, I think, was his interview or something like that. Yeah. So
they also did say, and this came from the doctors, they wouldn't be specific with it, but they did say that overnight, some signs, there was some progression in some of the signs, but they didn't want to get into it.
They did, from what we understand. Again, there were no details, but they said that signs, apparently, there is some positive. Things seem to be trending in a more positive than negative direction.
Yeah.
Even if things are staying lateral at this point, as long as it doesn't go negative, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But hearing that is better than hearing something else, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So again, still hopeful.
I mean, I gotta
what we get from this.
I gotta say, from my side of this, the whole situation, I wasn't watching the game at the time. I was watching something else. I forget what I was watching, and I'm not sure who in our group chat, our family group chat with our picks and stuff like that. Said,
it might have been my brother. It was either my brother or my sister-in-law.
Yeah,
I forget which one it was.
Said, you know, this shit is crazy. And I just text him like, you know, what are you talking about? And
you figured they'd be talking about the game, like what a crazy catch or something, or some nonsense. Yeah.
And I forget exactly what they said, but I was like, what the hell? So I jumped on Twitter real quick just to see what's going on, and I started seeing what's, you know, the prayers up for, you know, trending and this and that. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And I saw the video of it, and at first, you know, I even said in the family chat there, it looked like a concussion. I mean, we've seen a couple weeks ago with the Patriots player that Nelson Aguilar had to call a timeout and everything because Patriots wide receiver got up, was wobbly, no one's calling the whistle, whatever. And, you know, so, I mean, I've seen players get up like how Damar did and fall right back down. It's just like a delayed reaction in a way. And even watching the replay of it, it looked like Higgins' helmet may have got a little bit underneath Damar's helmet, so maybe it caught his chin. So that's why I thought concussion until they said that they're doing CPR. Then I was like, oh shit, this is serious now. And the weirder and the stranger thing about this whole situation is me and my dad. My dad asked me the question just the day before, has anyone ever died on the football field? And that was, and he only brought it up because of the Josh Sweat injury in the Eagles game, where he just went limp.
1971 Detroit Lion player. Yeah. I think I posted that. Not too long ago. Yeah, he died of a heart attack on the field too.
And it just weird how a day later this happens. And I was like you, I probably didn't go to bed I probably didn't get off of social media till about midnight because I want to see as much updates as I could, because I'm sorry, ESPN, I think handled it the wrong way.
I think you're in a minority of that.
Well, what I mean is
ESPN handled that as perfectly, I think, as anybody could handle it.
Well, like what I mean is, you know, you're going to be tuning in to find out if there's updates, but there's only so many times, and you could see it in Booger McFarland, you could see it in the female reporter. There's only so many times you go back and just re-say the same things over and over, and you're seeing them in pain as well. You know,
no, but again, I don't understand though. Like I mean, listen, as somebody who has worked in radio, worked in the media before, and wants to, these things, as terrible as they are, like this is part of your job when something happens that is, again, nobody expects this. This is not something that's expected. I'm not saying like, hey, this is what they're, but your job there is to report on what's going on and to discuss it and to get a gauge on it and to comment on it. Your commentators, that's kind of what you're doing.
Like the magnitude of this, like it was hard for them to be the commentators.
All right, but so then let me put this out there to you. What would you prefer they have done?
Honestly, I would have preferred ESPN to, you know, okay, after say the first half hour. I mean, they went temporarily suspended the game before they actually called it. It was like an hour and a half before they finally called it.
Right.
After, you know, half hour, 45 minutes. Once you know you have no more updates, you're only repeating the same things after you're coming back from a commercial break. Put a like old football game on, you know, Notre Dame and Penn State.
No, absolutely. That would be amazingly inappropriate. You could not do that.
Put something else on, or just
you can't. What are you going to do? Oh, okay, guys, why don't you change something like no?
Yeah,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I got to the point I had to turn it off because it was getting me upset. That's seeing the pain for them.
Well, no. Again, that would have been tremendously inappropriate to do. Listen, if people wouldn't like, if someone like you weren't able to handle it, or were getting upset by it, then that's the thing, is like there's more than enough options to just, okay, I can turn this off and wait until I can find something else out. But to do that, to be like, all right, everybody, well, there's been this horrible, tragic thing, but here you go. We're gonna go give you a little bit ESPN Classic right now. And like, no. I will say that for the most part, all the ESPN coverage was spot on, from the booth, from the sideline, from the studio. Yeah, it was good. The one point of contention that I have, and it seems to be a point of contention right now, was the Joe Buck 5-minute comment.
So,
because that's causing a problem now.
Yeah,
and I want to know where he got that from, because I don't think he got it. I don't think he got it from the league. Because an ESPN is standing by this, saying we stand behind Joe Buck and what he's saying, what his information was, or anything like that. But there have been several reports from several reporters who were on the field when this happened. I believe one was a local Fox 19 reporter or something in Cincinnati, and a few other journalists as well were on the field, and say at no point did they hear any sort of communication like that go to any of the coaches, referees, players, anything of that nature. Nothing was okay, 5 minutes to warm up and then you get back out there. Nobody heard that.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the NFL has come out and said that that is not something they've heard, or that they said or ever would have said.
Yeah.
Troy Vincent out there is saying that as well. And I see a lot of people on social media screaming about, oh, of course they're going to say that. Fuck the NFL. They don't care about players. They're just exploiting all these young black men. How dare they? They don't care if they die on the field or not. They're just trying to fucking kill them. And first of all, this is another thing too. And I advise this for everybody. Stay off social media. Just especially when things like this happen, look for news, look for sources, look for anything like that. But stay off comments and stay off of it, because it will infuriate you and it will anger you with how people act on there.
Even big wigs of ESP, like sports writers, obviously the shit that's going on with Skip Bayless right now. Bart Scott blaming T. Higgins for this incident.
Again, the Bart Scott one is that might have been edited to make it sound like what he did, but I don't care. The Skip Bayless thing, I understand what Skip was saying.
He just needed to word it a lot better.
But when you're a writer, when your job of your life is he writes for the Dallas Morning News, or at least he used to anyway.
Yeah.
And you're a professional commentator, pundit, if you will. You're meant to take hot takes and do all this other kind of shit. Your job is communication. Your job is to be able to get your thoughts across in a manner that is clear and concise to people. You have to do a better job of communicating what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
Because I understood what he was saying. I understood what he wrote down, but I also understand how people could take it the way they did.
Yeah.
So like on one hand, like, first of all, I don't want to ever be the guy defending Skip Bayless on anything. Let me put that out there right now.
Yeah.
This is the guy who tried to drag Dak Prescott after his brother committed suicide.
Yeah.
And tried to say, well, he shouldn't be sad. Like, are you fucking, seriously? So I never want to be in that camp. Trust me. But on the other hand, like, I do understand what he was saying. And the thing is, that is something that has to be discussed, which the NFL is doing right now, of logistically, what do we do? Because that was a very important game when it comes to the NFL standings and seeding and playoffs and division championships and things of that nature. Obviously, nothing nearly as important as that young man's life.
Yeah.
So that's why that was put on the back burner. And I think there was a lot of people very touchy about the subject that was broached there by Skip within the first hour, 2 hours of the incident happening. So I think that's another thing too. Skip, fucking sit on that fucking tweet for a day.
Yeah.
Before you fucking put it out anyway. So I think there's a lot, this.
And the other side.
Skip Bayless is not innocent in this whole thing. Don't let don't let me put that out there.
The other aspect of it too is he has to know, he has to realize, when it comes to the show Undisputed with him and Shannon Sharp, he's the villain. I mean, no one likes him. He already has that hate going towards him. So you have to realize what you're about to put out. People that don't like you or don't agree with what you say are going to read it maybe not the way he intended it for. And I mean, obviously the next day he did kind of explain what he meant, even though and once I saw the explanation.
Man, Shannon looked like he wanted to kill him.
And thinking from what was a month ago, they almost went to blows. I was praying, I was thinking, man, I wish you would have jumped over that table at that point.
Well, because here's the thing too. Skip needs to understand what the situation was, and hearing Shannon try to explain how he felt and everything that was going on, like we did at the start of the show. We talked about what we saw and what our experience was viewing that and feeling that when we saw that. Shannon trying to do that and then being immediately interrupted by Skip every other sentence, I would not have had that composure, and I've done better with my temper.
Yeah.
But that's a level of, dude, shut the fuck up for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And let me say what I need to say. So again, don't ever put me in the defending Skip Bayless camp. But back to the whole 5-minute thing. This is a big point of contention now, because now you have people online with the fucking pitchforks and torches getting ready to go to NFL headquarters. NFL doesn't give a shit. NFL doesn't give a shit. And you go out there and you point the facts out to them. First of all, there's multiple sources that say that was never directed to them. That was never said by the NFL. That was never told to any of the officials, coaches, or players.
Yeah.
None of the coaches or players have come out and said that was told to them. None of the officials came out and said that was told to them. So my question is, where did Joe Buck get that information? Who told Joe Buck that information? And who told Joe Buck to say that information live on television right after this event happened? Because that is a huge point of contention, and that alone in and of itself has caused a big problem. Now, ESPN might be standing behind their guy because they paid him a fucking boatload of money, so they need to. But that is... if anything, it's extremely reckless on Joe Buck's part, especially if it was never said or given as a direct order from anybody from the NFL, which it seems like from all reports, even independently from the NFL, is something that the NFL didn't do. They never said 5 minutes to play.
Yeah. But from my standpoint, before the sources came out that NFL didn't say it or multiple reports, I could see the NFL doing that, because
I think everybody, and I think that's the problem too, is that people can see that it would be like, oh, typical NFL. Yeah, they don't give a shit.
Because my other issue is, why did it take?
Because that was my initial reaction.
NFL long to postpone it, finally say, listen, we're not playing the rest of the games tonight.
Do you know how big of a production this is? And do you also know how long it takes to communicate shit to people back and forth, especially going to New York, going back? First of all, they have to find out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Because they're not there. They don't know.
Yeah.
So this has to get back to Troy Vincent. So then they have to do all this.
Take an hour and a half long to make a decision.
Then on top of, and here's the other thing too, they probably made the decision a lot quicker. It just took this long to get down to everybody. Because on top of that, the information has to go from the stadium, then it has to go to New York. Then it has to go from New York to Troy Vincent. Then it has to go from Troy Vincent probably up to Goodell.
Yeah.
And Goodell was probably home. He probably wasn't at fucking Park Avenue at fucking 8:00 last night.
Yeah.
Or on Monday night. He's not there. So that then now he's got to get the phone calls. So then it's like, okay, You're the commissioner. What do you want to do? Okay, clearly we're postponing the game now, and we'll figure this out as we'll go by the steps, as anybody would. It's like let's not make an immediate decision right now. Let's everybody stop, catch a breath, find out what's going on, get the facts, understand what's going on, and we'll make decisions from there. So then that gets communicated back down. So then that goes all the way back to the stadium. So then it gets back to the stadium. That's when all the players go back to the locker room. That's when everybody goes like that. They have all this shit. All that happens. Now you're still there. Now, I think clearly at this point, it becomes obvious how serious the situation is.
Yeah.
So clearly, we're going to go ahead and postpone the game. And then we're going to figure out what we do from here. So then that goes all the way back up to the top. Then it gets communicated all the way back down to the bottom. Then again, that shit takes time. Plus, you probably have to talk to the networks. You have to talk to ESPN and be like, okay, what are you doing? How much do you need extra time? Are you staying on the air? Like, what are you doing? Because ESPN is probably concerned because they have time that they sold, commercial time, and they have all this other shit that they have to fucking do. So they're all involved. The city of Cincinnati is probably involved for okay, we need to get the cops out there to do traffic and stuff like that because again, they have the different, some places have different traffic patterns for when you leave a game.
Yeah.
When you arrive. I mean, we've seen it up in Wilkes-Barre when we go to Wilkes-Barre Penguins games, and you have to have officers staffed there and staffed in the right places and cones put out or do whatever. So again, that probably takes time. So you got to coordinate with local authorities. You have to again, there's a lot of that. It's not just as simple as, oh, why did they cancel the game? Why did it take them fucking an hour and a half to do this? It's bullshit. No, it's not bullshit. People just seem to fail to realize, first of all, how big of a fucking operation the NFL is. It's a big fucking thing. It has thousands, tens of thousands of people for each game that are involved in communications and, again, traffic patterns, local authorities, cops, employees, concessions, stadium workers, road workers, medical staff. Again, as we talked about, and thank God they were there.
Yeah.
All these things, all of that has to be in place. And like Troy Vincent said today, the only kind of system or anything that was put into place on Monday was the emergency protocol, and that went off perfectly without a hitch.
Yeah,
and it did, and thank God it did. But this is another reason why I had to remove myself from social media, simply because of its toxicities. Because people on there people need a villain.
Yeah,
people want somebody to blame. And it's their fault, and they want to be angry at somebody. So it turns into the NFL, or it turns into Skip Bayless, or it turns into somebody like that. And, I did, like an idiot, I tried a couple times to explain the NFL is a big operation. It takes a lot longer than just, a snap of the fingers to get things to, what are you carrying their water for him? You fucking pussy. Why don't you just suck Adele's dick then? All right. You know what? Fine. It was my mistake for thinking I could talk reason.
Yeah.
So, and that's the one thing I've learned. Or you can't talk reason on Twitter. Twitter is YouTube comments without the videos. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And
it's not just Twitter, Facebook, and all of them.
No, any kind of social media is just fucking terrible. Instagram's okay because there's a lot of titties on there. TikTok too, but outside of that, there's no redeeming quality when it comes to social media. There's not. It's just, I'm sorry. And it can be good at times to get information quickly. Yeah. But also, again, you have to be careful about where you're getting that information from, because all somebody has to say is something they say, well, I heard, and their sources, I made it the fuck up. But it immediately starts getting around. So it immediately starts going around. It starts going, oh my God. Oh, did you hear? And that's why I'm kind of upset with Joe Buck for doing the whole 5 minutes to get ready to play thing, is because I think he said that out of pocket. And
I just wonder if like he overheard or something like that from his producer with them just saying, I like something like this. I wonder if they're going to give them 5 minutes to warm up. And Joe Buck took it as NFL just said that they have 5 minutes to warm up.
no, and it makes me, because here's the thing. Typically, if there's an extended delay in the game due to an injury or something like that, the protocol usually is you get a 5 minute warm up and then you go back to play.
Yeah.
Like when Dak had his thing, and he broke his ankle and he had to be on he was on there for a while. They had to put an air cast on him, get him onto the thing, scoot him off. Players got 5 minutes to warm up and then they played again. Is that what he was doing? Like, was that what he was going up? Did he ask like, hey, do you know if they're going to play again? It's like, I don't know, usually extended stay, if they have an extended stop, it's usually like 5 minutes to warm up. And he's like, good enough for me. Yeah. I'm going to go on air with that. It's like, all right, but again, that's not something that was given to him by the NFL. So why the fuck are you saying that? Because now everybody who's watching it, and again, myself, when I heard him say that, I are you fucking kidding me? The NFL's going to, I got indignant. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. And then later on in the evening, you find out, oh, that was never put out and that was never said. And it wasn't the NFL who said that at first. Again, it was the reporters that were coming from on the field were coming out and writing and saying, because people go after him, what can you tell us about the whole NFL trying to make him go 5 minutes? And you had several reporters come out and say that was never communicated to the coaches, officials, or players at all.
Yeah.
So now you have several sources saying that didn't happen. And then you have the NFL coming out and say that there's like Troy Vincent was looking at him like, are you fucking serious? You think we're going to go ahead and have this guy who just had a fucking heart attack, who died on the field, and we're going to tell our players to go ahead and go get ready to play in 5 minutes? Yeah. Like Troy Vincent's a former player. He fucking knows what goes on.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But all it took was that. And now you have ESPN saying like, "Well, we stand by what Joe Buck said," and it's like, well, I want to know where Joe Buck got his fucking information. Why don't you tell us that?
Yeah,
huh?
And I'm sure like the production team has recordings of just say it's the producer may have missaid the
I don't know.
Again, there should be tapes out there.
Well, that's never going to get released anyway because it's by ESPN.
Yeah.
So if that is something that happened, but I don't know. And this is what I mean. But all I know is outside of that one particular incident with Joe Buck saying shit out of pocket, the ESPN crew did a fantastic job with that. Scott Van Pelt, after they switched it to the studio, and Ryan Clark did a great job. I don't like Ryan Clark usually. I think Ryan Clark is usually an asshole. Yeah. But
I love what he said about, next time you guys are bitching about players with fantasy football and everything, just remember, these guys are literally putting their lives on the line.
And so when we look at all that and we get angry and everything that stuff. And again, I kind of went off on a tangent there about Joe Buck and talking about people looking for a villain, and there I am trying to villainize Joe Buck. So I guess I'm part of that problem as well. And I try not to be, but sometimes listen, we all are. We're all human and we all err. And I was going to
say, yeah, we're human and we all kind of look like, I guess you kind of said it earlier, we kind of look for that escape to blame somebody to help us deal with the situation.
But like I said, outside of that, I think Joe Buck did an amazing job, and Troy Aikman did an amazing job trying to, do what you can in that situation. Yeah. Susie Colbert and Booger and even Adam Schefter, again, somebody I don't like, they did a great job in the studio dealing with the situation. The sideline reporter, who I unfortunately I can't remember her name right now. Lisa
Saunders.
I was going to say Saunders. I don't think it's Saunders, though. I think it begins with an S, but she did a fantastic job. And again, was fighting through tears.
Yeah.
Having been on the field and seeing what was happening. So she had a closer experience. And plus then she was able to see and hear some of the players and interact with some of the players too. So she obviously had it told, but she did her job and did it very well. So again, ESPN gets a lot of shit. A lot of times, but this is one time where they get a tip of the cap for doing a fantastic job with a absolutely tragic and unprecedented situation, and doing so while not exploiting the situation as would be, happens sometimes with certain other networks, with certain different things. The old adage with news networks is that if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
And they try to exploit all the kinds of hurt and pain. Like we've all seen the reporters after a hurricane walking through somebody's destroyed lives, being like, "How do you feel at this moment?" Like just the worst ghoulish behavior you've ever seen from people. And ESPN didn't do that. So a big kudos to them for that. All this being said and done, though, the main focus again is on Damar Hamlin.
Yeah.
And again, as we could say, the latest we know about is that it's kind of status quo right now for what it's been.
Yeah.
He is in critical condition. They haven't listed him as critical but stable yet, which is concerning to me. But he is, just as far as we know, still in critical condition. Some reports from his family and allegedly from some of the medical staff there is that he seems to be trending in a more positive direction, which is good news.
Yeah.
But again, until we get like real good official word on it, I'm going to take everything I hear with a grain of salt. But anything that is positive, obviously, I'm going to hold on to and hope for more than anything else. And I guess that's the only thing you do. Like if you're a praying man, if you're a praying woman, if you're somebody out there who does that, pray for that man. If you're not one of those people, well, then give all your thoughts and your love and everything you possibly can to the thoughts of that young man, and hoping, that when we get, pardon me. Oh man, what's wrong with me? No, when we get to, I'm hoping that what happens is we get to a point where, if we get to a Super Bowl, so whether the Bills are in it or not, I don't know.
I mean, by this
but
point,
like, if we ever get to the Super Bowl point, you were able to see him like awake and alive and, give a wave, on the video board to the crowd or something like that. That would be, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hopeful for. I don't think there's going to be too many people who will disagree with that. So, again, just hope the,
now,
again, this thing fucked me up, man.
I could hear it. I mean, again, I mean, even with myself, I went down, like, after I saw what happened and through the text messages and stuff like that, I went down to my wife, and I'm not trying to make this a joke or anything like that. I went down to her. I'm like, "Hannah, I think I just saw a player die on the field," and this is before we found out about the CPR and stuff. Or no, we did find out about the CPR. And she's like, "Okay, how big of a hit was it?" I'm like, "No, hon, I'm serious." And I explained to her what happened. And so I told her what happened, and I said I'm going to go back upstairs and watch it and see what goes on. And I don't know, about half hour, 45 minutes later, she came to bed, and she got to the point where she told me, "Turn off the TV." She's like, "Just go to bed," because I was so I needed an update. I needed to find out what his status is. He okay? Things like that.
I was up to about 2:00 in the morning. Yeah.
But now the other side of this story, and again, we're not making light of what happened.
No, but here's the thing: it has to be broached. We have to talk about it. And the NFL has to talk about it, which is, again, I don't think Troy Vincent or Roger Goodell or most of the higher execs there at NFL headquarters there in Park Place in New York or Park Avenue in New York, I don't think they've gotten a lot of sleep in the last 3 days.
No,
because there's a lot. There's a lot to cover and understand, not only about what happened to Mr. Hamlin, but logistically, what do you do with the games, with the season, with everything that's going on. Like, this is close to unprecedented. Like, we had the COVID year.
And that's what I just saw before we came on to record, that the NFL did say they may look at how they handled COVID with the protocols and all that, the logistics of that aspect of it, and maybe go down that route to figure out these games. You know,
But here's the problem with that, though, is like for like the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the season of the COVID year, like it was pretty okay. Like there was no bump thing. We all remember there was Wednesday football games, and there was shit that was delayed, and different weeks were moved, and games were shuffled, and all that stuff. Like we remember that.
Yeah.
But this is the last week of the season,
and that's what's making this so tough to figure out. I mean, the one idea I saw, and I think this might be the probably the best option, is get rid of the Pro Bowl week and bump all the games a week. So no week 18.
I don't like that. No, because you're going to have people complain. Here's the thing.
You're going to have people complain no matter what. I
don't think there's a best scenario, simply because of like nothing. No situation that is decided on by the NFL is going to be seen as fair.
Yeah.
By every team or every team's fan base or everybody out there. Everybody's going to have a reason to bitch and reason to moan. And the only thing I can say to that is, man, I really hope you realize the situation that everybody is in and why the situation like this unfortunately had to happen, and to grow the fuck up and also realize, hey, life isn't always fair.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's I've seen that scenario you're talking about where they bump. There's basically a week 19 that's just going to be the Bengals and Bills. Everybody else gets a bye basically, and then you start the playoffs late.
See, I wouldn't even play week 18 this weekend. I would have them, the Bills and the Bengals, play the rest of that game either Sunday or Monday night, and have week 18 the following weekend.
No, you can't do that.
Because this game,
you can't do that.
This game just doesn't affect the Bills and the Bengals. This also affects the Chiefs. So
no, it does. It does. But you're not going to, because you have other venues already have schedules planned out and have things mapped out. Like you can't just say, okay, move this, because some venues might, especially the domed ones, might have concerts coming in. They have other things that have already been scheduled, already been paid for, already everything like that. Like you can't.
Maybe that's why the NFL's talking about the COVID protocols. Like, say Kansas City. Okay, they got a concert there. Maybe move it to a college.
Well, there's
stadium.
not going to be an open air concert in Kansas City in the middle of January. That's not going to happen.
You never know.
But no, here's the thing. I think there were several options available, and I think they're all honestly valid at this point. I think everything's on the table. Do you bump the week? Do you make it week 19? Do you do anything like that? I mean, it's possible, but logistically, that's probably the least likely because, again, of all the logistics involved. And then no matter which way you do it, whether you move all this week's games to next week, which on a 3 days notice, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah.
And also, if you just have it this week and then only have the Bills and Bengals play, then everybody gets a bye week, except for them going into the playoffs, and then they get one, but the other teams get two. Like the Eagles get the number one spot, they'd get 2 weeks of a bye, and everybody else gets another bye, except for and then the Bengals don't get a bye, and then they have to play. Like it becomes a problem when you come of it that way. The other options available are you mark it down as a tie. Now, that's something that happens.
I thought about that.
That's something that happens in record books all the time. You can mark it down as a tie. That hurts the Bills. I think that helps the Bengals with their division race. You can do something like that. You can also do, as I've heard, just judge seeding based on winning percentage. And, like the game is just not played. So then you base it on winning percentage. I've seen people say, mark the score as it was, which is the least likely for me. I don't think that's you've played less than a quarter.
Yeah.
There's no way you would have the Bengals win 7-3 based on 9 minutes of gameplay. I wouldn't do that. So then you have the coin toss, which listen, I'm at this point. I said everything's on the table, and I think that's just as fair as anything else that's been put out there.
If you really think about it, too, as far as the coin toss, I mean that game played all the way through.
Up,
it would have been a coin toss.
Have somebody call it in the air, and whoever was coin toss, okay, you win the game.
Yeah,
and that'll get marked down, and you win 2-0 because that's what forfeits are marked in the NFL anyway. So again, it wouldn't technically be a forfeit, but that's how you would score it. And then you move on from there, and that have that be as it may. Whatever the situation is, those are discussions that are happening and need to happen.
Yeah.
Again, we all know the situation, and our thoughts are obviously with Damar. So I don't want to have people sit here and think like, oh, they're so callous or anything like that. No, that's not what we're doing. But these are conversations that are happening and need to happen.
Yeah.
Because what do you do? Like, this is an unprecedented situation. I personally think what's going to end up happening is the game's going to be voided, and the AFC is just going to be based on winning percentage. And whether that's fair or unfair to the Bills or to the Chiefs or to the Bengals or to the Ravens, whatever the case is, that is just unfortunately the situation we're in.
I mean, if they're going to go off
teams and fan bases are going to have to understand that.
If they're going to base it off of winning percentage, I don't know if you follow on ESPN during whatever game, NFL game would it be, but the percentage to win. And each score, it goes up and down, or each minute it goes up and down. Why can't they do that instead of, okay, win percentage overall for the season,
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so the Eagles are playing the Cowboys. Eagles score a touchdown.
I know what you mean by that, but how does that apply to this?
To figure out, if they're going to say, no, we're not going to play the game, let's use some type of way to figure out who wins it. And if
no. It's not winning percentage to see who wins the game. Just the season winning percentage.
But that's what I'm saying. That I don't think that's
I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're saying take their winning percentage of the overall year up to this point, and whoever has a better record wins the game.
No, not record, a winning percentage
for the season.
Right.
And that team, whoever has the better win percentage, wins the game.
No.
Oh, okay. So
the game is voided. The game is not played. The game does not count.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
That game does not happen. Jesus Christ, Jimbo, catch up here. No, the game is. When the game is voided, means that is over. The game is done. It never happened. So then, what you're doing is you're basing the seeding of the AFC.
Oh, okay.
And everything that happens on the team's winning percentages.
Okay.
Jesus. Like talking to a wall sometimes.
Well,
I love you, Joe. I love you, Joe.
It could have been worse. I could have said something like Skip Bayless and everybody would hate me then.
No. You didn't embarrass, you didn't say anything bad about Damar or anything like that. You embarrassed the show. And you embarrass yourself and embarrass me. No, I'm joking. You don't embarrass anybody. You're great at this.
It's a new year, new me. That's my plan for all years. To embarrass me, the show with you.
This is New Year. This is a new year, but it's the same you. This is what it is. But no, like that's honestly what I think is going to end up happening. Is let me look up. Actually, give me a second here, because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look up the standings anyway to see how that would actually shake out as we look at it. Let me look to see if I can get these officially up here. But because it's such a because right now the Bills have a winning percentage of 800. They're at 800 right now.
Okay.
And where are the Bengals? The Bengals are at 733.
Okay.
And the Ravens are at 625. So that is what it is. And the Chiefs have an 813 winning percentage. So right now, if again that game is voided and we move on, the Chiefs are the number one seed. Now, if the Bills had won that game against the Bengals, they're the number 1 seed again because they have the tiebreaker over Kansas City.
Yeah.
But if you void that game, then Kansas City has the number 1 seed now anyway. And again, even if the Bills win next week and the Chiefs win, they should win. Who are they playing? Are they playing the Raiders, I think? So Chiefs probably winning that game. So the Chiefs will get number 1. Now, is that fair to the Bills? Again, probably not, but we're talking about a situation that we've never had before.
So since you got the stats up right there, the standings, what if they gave both teams a win? Like, if you're going to go the route of avoiding the game, no win, no loss, this game meant a lot for all 3 teams.
Because then you screw over the Ravens. Then you basically screw over the Chiefs and the Ravens at once. Because then if you give the Bengals and Bills both a win, then you give the Bills the number 1 seed, and then probably the number 1 seed going in because they're most likely going to beat the Patriots.
Okay.
And the Chiefs are, again, most likely going to beat the Raiders, but the Bills have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs, so they would get the number 1 seed no matter what. And then you're giving the Bengals a win, which would then lock up the AFC North for them. Like, if they had beaten the Bills, they would have locked up the AFC North no matter what happened next week.
Yeah.
So then you're screwing the Ravens over.
Yeah.
So you can't give both teams a win. You can't give both teams a loss. You could give them a tie, but then even a tie there, that fucks the Ravens anyway, because then the Ravens would have one more. Like, let's say the Ravens and Bengals play next week, and the Ravens beat the Bengals. So now the Bengals are 11-5-1. The Bengals are 11-6. So the Bengals still get the division based off the tie.
Okay.
So if you give both teams a tie, you're still fucking over the Ravens.
Yeah.
So all things considered, I think you have to void the game. And then you have to go by winning percentage. Because, and again, I think even that would fuck over the Ravens too, because I think the Bengals would clinch the division then anyway.
All right, so how about this idea then? And this literally just popped in the head, so it's probably going to be real shitty and you're going to make fun of me. So, okay, let's void the game. Play Week 18 as Week 18.
Right.
Use the winning percentages for seeding.
Use the seeding, right?
But bump the games a week away, so that way everybody gets a bye. You know, the Bills and the Bengals didn't play a full game. Who knows what could have happened? Don't want to speculate or say it, but there could have been more injuries. Could have went different, things like that. So that way everybody gets in the AFC.
And so then whoever gets the top seed gets a 2-week bye. Everybody else gets 1 week. Do you want to have a bye for 2 weeks though? Going to the playoffs? That's rough.
And again,
I think that's rough too.
Who cares about the Pro Bowl?
It's not about the Pro Bowl. It's about having you as a team. You want to get that bye week.
Yeah.
But do you want 2 bye weeks? You want to go? It'll be 3 weeks since you've played a game. That's a long time.
True, yeah.
So, do you want that? Like, again, if I'm a team, I don't know if I want that either. So again, it becomes a question of they're going to have to discuss it. I think, is that on the table? I think that's a discussion.
Yeah.
I think they're probably bringing that up. Listen, as I was talking with my father earlier today. I said, if I was commissioner, I'm taking Joe Burrow, I'm taking Josh Allen, I'm putting them in front of a fucking PS5. You guys are playing Madden for it.
You know what?
Whoever wins Madden wins the game. They get that, and we move on. Just fucking, we're in 2023 here.
Yeah.
Let's fucking use Madden for something good here, okay?
I was thinking that earlier, but I'm like, no, that might be a little insensitive, but why not? Set the game up 7-3.
I don't know. That's what I mean. I don't know, because at this point, I think honestly, every option is on the table. The option I don't think that is on the table is them playing the game. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think that's done.
So I think what you're looking at is this is the end of the season coming up this week, and then we start the playoffs next week, however that is. So however we figure out the seeding, however they decide to do this, whether they give ties, whether they do winning percentage, whether they do a coin flip, however they do it, that's going to be what it is, and there's going to be people who don't like it, but we're all just going to have to live with it. And I'm going to be honest with you, as long as that kid wakes up from his hospital bed, I'm fine with whatever happens.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We said a couple of weeks ago that we have great ideas for the NFL. They should hire us. I'm glad we're not hired to the NFL right.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is why we make those big bucks. Give me the $1 million. You can pay me a couple $1 million. I wouldn't get any sleep. I'd be drinking a lot of coffee, maybe doing cocaine. I don't know.
Or W.
But I would do something to stay up that long, and we'd figure it out. And listen. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do like a basketball fucking 16 round robin tournament. Like that's what we're gonna do. All right, get ready, everybody. Strap in. But again, this is the thing: is these are people who have to now make a decision that has billions of dollars behind it.
Yeah.
That is going to affect these $1 billion franchises. That's going to affect $1 billion media entities. That's going to affect billions of dollars from advertisers. That's going to affect billions of dollars from different cities and revenue streams and all this. Like, it's big. It is. This is big. This is a big decision that they have to make.
Oh yeah.
So, there was something else I was thinking of too. Of no matter how they figure out what they're going to do with the AFC, my idea was just for this year only. Do a neutral site AFC Championship game. So it's like, oh, the Bills should have been the number 1 seed. Oh, the Chiefs should be the number 1 seed. Well, who knows how the game would have went, or blah, blah, blah. And like, you know what? Use the winning percentages to do like the seeding or find out how everything is or whatever. And then just however it plays out for this year's AFC Championship game and this year's AFC Championship game only, have the game at a neutral site. Have the game at like fucking Lucas Oil Stadium or something, or some, a dome where there's not a playoff team or something like that. Or a stadium that doesn't have a team. Do it in fucking Miami. Whatever. If Miami makes the playoffs. They might still make the playoffs. Who the fuck knows? But at the end of the day, maybe you just do that. So now it's not a case of a team having home field advantage for the playoffs and all this stuff. Again, is it fair? Is it right? No. But listen, if you make it to the AFC Championship game, I'm sure you're not going to sit there and bitch and complain about it. Yeah. You're going to do what you got to do. So that, to me, that's another option that can be on the table. Am I saying any of these options that we're talking about are great? No, because there are no great options.
There isn't, yeah.
There's no great options here.
Yeah, whatever idea they come up with, like you said, half the people are going to like it, half the people aren't going to like it.
Right.
There's no pleasing the full mass.
Is it going to be fair? No, we're looking for the most fair it can possibly be at this point.
Yeah.
So maybe that's an option. Maybe it's like, okay, for this year, the AFC Championship game is a neutral site game. And you run it like that and you see what happens. And you know what? I would think it would kind of be cool. You have a neutral site, you get both end zones painted, you put a big AFC logo in the middle of the field. I think it'd be fun. I'd fucking do it, And that'd be cool as shit.
If they come up with that idea, we have it on the recording here. We will just
I want the credit.
Yep. Simply ask, just put a little STS logo in both end zones. That's all we'll ask.
I'll ask, like, listen, came up with the idea. Can I do the field design? Since I'm into graphics and doing all that kind of shit. Let me do the field design. And in those spots, like on the 20-yard lines where they have the little NFL shield on each one, we could just paint over that with a little Stay Tuned Sports logo. See? Right there. That's all. That's all I ask. Just as a little thank you. Also like that. Although if they say, okay, we'll do that, or we'll give you and your friend $10 million.
I'll take the logo.
I'm going to take the $10 million. But get the fuck out of here.
No. I'll take the $10 million. I want to retire.
Guess early. What? I'll take the $20 million. You can have your fucking logo. Fuck off.
The only thing, probably the two things that we're not going to do this week. You didn't put out your power rankings.
I'm not doing the power rankings this week. Obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, and I don't want to do the blue picks this week.
No. And again, there's again, I know it's the last week of the year and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't sit right, So next week I will do my end of year power rankings for the regular season and have all that out and do everything like that.
Maybe we'll do like a not necessarily blue picks, but maybe we'll do like a playoff blue picks. We
could do a playoff blue pick, and we just pick playoff games that we think might be a blowout, playoff games that we might that are probably a lock, and playoff games that might be an upset.
Yeah,
and we'll see. And here's the other thing too, like to get back on a little bit more of a normal track on what is obviously a very abnormal week for any kind of sports show. Again, looking at any sports show from First Take to Pat McAfee show to Dan Patrick to Rich Eisen to any of the sports shows that you listen to or watch out there, not been a normal week. And again, it's not a normal week for us here either as we're trying to do this. I don't think it's a normal week for anybody.
Yeah.
But to get a little bit more on a normal track and try to get a focus to this weekend and to the games coming up, man, there are some big fucking games.
Oh yeah,
there's some huge games, and one of them happens to be between the New York Football Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. And there's a lot on that line, man.
It's not going to be a good game if Hurts not starting.
And that is still up in the air. And what's also still up in the air is whether the Giants are going to play their starters or not.
I thought I saw Dable say he's going to start, or he's going to start his starters.
I am a man who, ever since 2007, and we started our last game and played all our starters in the last game against the New England Patriots, and then we rode that all the way into the Super Bowl where we played the New England Patriots and won against them and destroyed their undefeated streak.
Yeah.
Since then, I've been a proponent of you play your starters, even if there is nothing to play for, play them. And this point was brought up to me, and because I've seen a bunch of Giants players. Well, if I don't see Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley in their pajamas, I'm gonna be really upset. Here's the thing: you just played your best game all year.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, defensively, offensively, DJ was on point. Saquon played well. Burrito played well. Your defense was monstrous. Kayvon Thibodeau got called an undisgusting monster.
He is a dirtbag.
He didn't know he was hurt.
Bullshit.
And not only that, listen, you could be upset at Thibodeau all you want. If I'm a Colt, I'm pissed at my offensive line. What the fuck? You're letting your quarterback get snow angeled.
Yeah.
Well, he's hurt, and you just standing around doing nothing? I'd have pancaked that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Listen, have some pride in your quarterback. That reminds me when Andy Dalton got killed for the Cowboys,
and
not a single one of his offensive linemen came and helped him. It was like, that's not a good look. Not a good look.
As far as my Eagles, though, I'll say this, and this dawned on me today. When I was watching the game, I was typical Jimbo. I'm jumping out the 17th floor window and all this other stuff.
We suck. We're terrible. I was like, dude, you're 13-3. Shut the fuck up.
And it was the first Eagles game this year that I watched with my dad. And he just looks at me and goes, "Man, it's been a long time since I watched an Eagles game with you. I forgot how bad you get with these. Oh, we suck. But if you look in 2017, the last 3 weeks with Nick Foles didn't play that well. I'm not saying Gardner Minshew is going to be our starter in the playoffs, but the team didn't play that well those last 3 games, and we went on to win the Super Bowl. So hopefully history repeats itself.
Well, this is my thought with the Giants, is because when the Giants did that in 2007, that was even though we lost, that was momentum building. That to us was that symbol of we can fucking hang with these guys. Yeah. We can play with the best in the league. We can play with one of history's greatest teams. If we can do that, and then you saw what happened. The Giants ran to the playoffs, had overtime in Green Bay where Tom Coughlin's face turned several shades of purple, and then we went to the Super Bowl and had maybe the most improbable win. Fast forward a couple of years, and I heard Pat talking about this today on his show, Pat McAfee. His rookie year, The Colts were 14-0. They had clinched everything. They had clinched first play. They couldn't do any worse than what they were doing. And I remember watching this game too because it was against the Jets. They started everybody for like a series or two or for like a quarter, and then they benched everybody, and they lost. And then they lost to the Jets, and then the next week they lost again.
Yeah,
and so they ended up 14-2 going to the playoffs, and then they made it to the Super Bowl, and then they lost to the Saints. And what he said was that there wasn't a player on that team that wanted to rest. There wasn't a player on that team that said, "Oh, we need to rest our starters. Oh, we need to be down." They wanted to carry that momentum, and it felt like he said everybody that he talked to, that he remembers being on that team, felt like the momentum was stopped, and then they kind of had to re-chug themselves, getting into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. So for the Giants, I think it's twofold. I think it's one, you just played your best game all year. Build off that momentum, build off that success, and see what you can do. And two, you have what has essentially been one of the best teams in the NFL all year, has been the number one seed in the NFC basically all year.
Yep.
And is going to have to be a team you're going to have to beat if you want to go far in the playoffs. See where you at. The last time you played them, you got fucking boat raced.
Yeah.
See where you stack up against them now. See what you're made of, and go into the playoffs with that. And then on top of that, if you do happen to beat them, well, then either the Niners or the Cowboys will be the number one seed, and you get to fuck over one of your most hated rivals. How fucking cool is that?
That's why I started Jalen Hurts last week. I don't care how hurt you are. You go from the number one seed, like I said, all year round, to lose this game.
You could be the fifth seed.
Fifth seed, exactly.
You could end up being the fifth. You could go from being number one seed all year to in the last week of the year becoming the fifth seed.
Yeah. That's why I think Hurts plays. I think Sirianni's just keeping it close to the vest, and Friday or whatever day they actually have to say who's the starter, that's when you'll find out.
And then that's the other thing. Who would you end up playing? Because first would have a bye.
Minnesota.
Second, so no. Because let's say for the sake of argument, because let's say it's the 49ers. Okay. Let's say the 49ers end up getting the number one seed. So then you'd have the 49ers at 1. The Cowboys would be 2. Who's 3? The Vikings would be 3, right? The Buccaneers would be 4.
Yeah, so Minnesota. First round.
Eagles would be 5, Giants 6, and either Lions or Packers or Seahawks are 7 or whatever. That things like. So that would be then no, because the Giants would play Minnesota.
Oh, okay, maybe that's what I saw then.
The Giants play Minnesota pretty much because unless the 49ers lose, the Vikings can't get up to the second spot.
Okay.
I don't think. So I
Tampa
don't think
Bay?
that's.
I think they locked up their division.
Tampa Bay would be 4 because 2 plays 7.
Okay.
3 plays 6.
4 plays 5.
4 plays 5. Oh shit! Yeah, you play
Tampa
the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Oh, do you want to go up against playoff Tom Brady?
I was gonna say we don't have Nick Foles, or I mean, maybe we could get Eli to come out.
And listen, the Buccaneers have sucked all year. Don't get me wrong, I understand that.
Except
But
for last week with Mike Evans, what was it? 3
I was going to say,
touchdowns?
if you're talking about this is the time of year that they're going to figure this shit out, and now you have to go down to Tampa Bay and play this team. You don't want that. Nobody wants to go and play playoff Tom. Oh, that would what would be now? Again, we're going hypothetical here. What would be the reaction of the Philadelphia fan base of this season that you guys have had, and you go one and done in the playoffs, getting beaten by Tom Brady and the Buccaneers like that? I have a feeling Philadelphia would implode.
Well, before they burned the city down. They would call for Sirianni's head. Howie Roseman would be lynched up onto the freaking light post and everything. Like,
Is this a case where then every decision in the last 3 weeks is going to be scrutinized?
oh my God, yeah.
Of just like why was why did you start Minshew against the Saints, or why
Yeah.
did you make this call in the Cowboys game, or why did you do? Because that's the other thing too. The Eagles had a chance to wrap everything up against the Cowboys, lost.
Yeah.
You had a chance to wrap everything up last week with the win against the Saints, lost. And now you're in a situation where if you somehow lose to the New York Giants, who in the last 2 weeks have played very good football.
Yeah.
They had the last minute loss to the Vikings, and then they fucking throat stomped the Colts, which again I know they're the Colts, but still it's the Giants. The fact that Giants put 31 points upon anybody is a fucking miracle. So now you have the Giants all of a sudden feeling themselves. If the Giants decide to play their starters, you could have a game. Like what the and now with Sweat being out.
Yeah. Now we are supposedly we opened up the practice window for Robert Quinn and our safety Gardner. He has like 3 names. I only know the last name is Gardner.
CJGJ is what I hear everybody call him. CJGJ. I did see that. Yeah, he's available for practice now.
Which if he plays, he would fill in for Avonte Maddox, since Blankenship has held his own. As a rookie, free safety. So I think that would definitely help shore up the backside. I mean, our front 4 are the best in the NFL. But if they can't get sacks, the other teams are just passing all over us.
Because here's the other thing, too. Like, again, this is still all hypotheticals because the Eagles might still stomp the Giants, which is perfectly, possible. But is this a thought that maybe you start Minshew, but you have Hurts as backup on the bench, your number 2, and if shit starts going sideways, you put him in there and are like, okay, fucking.
I'll tell you what.
Turn his game around.
If they were to do that, I will be calling for Sirianni's head, because I said they should have did that last week. Dallas game, okay, I'm okay with you sitting him out, I knew the Dallas game was going to be a tough game to win. I thought we could have beat the Saints with Minshew. And then when we go no first downs in the first half and all 3 and outs, that's when I knew we were fucked. And that's where if you had Hurts on the sideline waiting, second half comes, you put him out there. Because at halftime, I think we were only down 7 or 10. I think we were down 7 points.
It was like 10-3 or 13-3, something like that. Yeah, so it was 7 to 10 points, not insurmountable.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I mean, we only lost by 10, but if you watch the game and just take the score out of it, the Saints railed us. Minshew was holding the ball way too long. I think the 5 or 6 sacks that he gave up held the ball over 4.5 seconds on them. Like, you got to get that shit out. And play calls the past 2 weeks, I didn't see any RPOs, which is our identity. That's our offense, is the RPO. And Minshew, he's not quick or maybe as smart as Hurts to read a defense to run them. And I think that's what is really hurting our offense past 2 weeks.
I got to tell you, man, I'm rooting like hell that Minshew starts, because I'll tell you what, all we need is 26 points. If we can beat the Eagles by 26 points, that fucking belt stays here. Come on, Giants. Let's make it happen.
No. Because we got the playoffs.
I don't get fuck off. No,
that's a tiebreaker. That one year.
Fuck that shit. Fuck it.
But it's gonna be a fun weekend though.
It's gonna be an interesting weekend. Again, if you're out there, obviously, enjoy the football, watch the football, just keep Damar Hamlin in your mind and your thoughts as you watch and enjoy this weekend, and watch your games and watch, especially if your team's in it. Be excited, be fun, enjoy it, and realize. Listen, if anything, to be taken from a lot of this is listen, life is
short,
excruciatingly short.
Yeah.
It is terribly short, and we don't get to enjoy a lot of things in our very short time here. So watch and enjoy and drink and eat and be merry and laugh and hug and tell your loved ones you love them. Tell the people you hate you love them. Who gives a fuck? If you have grudges, put them aside. If you have all this shit, let what happened on Monday, as terrible as it was, have a positive effect on you, on your life, on the people around you, the people you love, your family, your friends, your community, all of that, and make the best out of what absolutely was a terrible situation. And just enjoy the games, enjoy life, and have a good time. Is really what it's about.
Yeah. All right. I think that's going to be it for us for this week.
With none of the other stuff, we didn't get to do the cool W reads, but we'll do that next week.
Yeah. But do me a favor. When Philly's beating the Giants, make sure you tag King in and get him riled up for me. I mean, I'm gonna be doing it myself too, but it's kind of boring when it's by myself. So I want my other Eagles fans to help us out.
See, you're saying that, but what happens if the opposite happens? You have a lot of quiet ass people. I'm going to
take your advice and stay off of social media.
Staying off social media is probably going to be the best idea for you. But however, listen, if people want to talk shit on me, at King of Skunk Duck, KingofSkunkDuck, like the two animals, King of Skunk Duck. You listen. Come at me, bro. Let's go.
Or in the show description, we'll have the link for our Discord. Just come on over and
go into the Discord and talk shit on me. Go right ahead. Yeah. So the link's there over on Twitter, and I believe it's on the Instagram too, and I think it's also up on the website. That's at ST Sports Podcast. That's at ST Sports Podcast. That's over on Instagram and on Twitter. It's in the Twitter bio, so go follow the link there. Sign up to the Discord. Talk with us. Have fun. Talk shit. It's fun. So everybody hug your loved ones. Tell your loved ones you love them, and enjoy this last weekend of the NFL regular season, and enjoy yourself. Have fun and enjoy life. That's really all I got to say.
So till next week, this is your good friend Jimbo,
and it's your boy King. Love you. Damar Hamlin, thoughts and prayers. Love you, man.
See you guys next week.